So in today's web dev tip, we're going to take another look at TypeScript types and how you can use multiple types if you want to set up a function, for example, that has an argument which could be of multiple different types. So in our previous web dev tip, we had this simple function, and the name argument that's passed in to say hello must be of a type string. Otherwise, first of all, Visual Studio Code will give us a TypeScript error. And also, if we actually try and run it as well, the code will not compile and we'll get a TypeScript error when the code runs in the terminal. So at the moment, our function only accepts strings, but what if we want to accept multiple types of data into this argument? Well, we could obviously set up multiple different arguments of different types, but then that gets a bit confusing because you'll need to pass in null values and so forth like that. So what TypeScript allows us to do is to specify different data types for our variables or our arguments in this case by simply using a union or a pipe operator, and that looks like something a little bit like this. So if we wanted to accept numbers as well in our name argument, so we simply say something like this where it could be string or number, and you can see the error has gone away in Visual Studio Code. And if we save that and just run the code on the terminal, we should find that that works okay. So that works great if you've just got one or two different types of data that you want to accept as an argument. But if it gets a bit longer, if there's lots of different types, and we'll get onto some more advanced types in a future lesson, but if you've got a lot of different types, then this can get a bit unwieldy to have lots of different options for data within your functions or when declaring your variables. So what we can do is set up our own custom type and give it a name, and then use that where we want to accept those types of data. So we do that with the type keyword in TypeScript, and let's call this type identifier, and then we just say it's equal to either a string or a number. So once this type is set up, we can use this in place of string or number anywhere we want to accept either a string or a number, and so we can just pop it down here in the argument definition. So now we can say that the name argument that's passed into the say hello function should be of type identifier, which in turn can either be a string or a number. So that just helps your code to be a bit neater. And of course, if you've got lots of different data types here in your identifier type, then you just need to change it in one place rather than going through your code and making that change everywhere where you want those different data types to be accepted. So hopefully that's given you a bit more of an idea about types in TypeScript, but that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you stay tuned for more web dev tips.